It's also completely acceptable to do a drawing, several thumbnail sketches instead of one large drawing that fills up the space. So, like this, you have several ideas that kind of come up with. And if you struggle a bit in kind of communicating the idea, don't feel bad. You can use other references. You can also do top and side views. So, double helix. Describe what you're trying to show if it's not really coming out. But it's important to be clear enough that I can tell if this is this, or this. A little bit of shading to help indicate curve, or a little bit of perspective drawing. And a little bit of a cheat on perspective drawing. If you're trying to draw a box in perspective, you just ideally it's going off toward a vanishing point, and this points to that line, this points to that line, this also, more points to that line, and then you draw these lines parallel to their originals. But you can accomplish pretty much the same thing by just drawing a box and having three roughly parallel diagonal lines, and that will communicate the idea, because these are pointed off into a vanishing point there directly, but it's not that noticeable in the first little bit. And so if you're not exactly sure how to do that, you can do that. Another kind of cheat trick is you draw one rectangle and then you draw another complete rectangle and then just connect the dots. So, even if you're drawing a different sort of a shape, so I'm going to draw, a triangle, and then back here I'm going to draw a smaller triangle. Then this comes back to there, this goes back to there, and this would go back to there, but that's all invisible, so then you erase the rest of the lines onto the smaller triangle, and you've got a triangular prism going off into the distance in reasonable perspective. So if you haven't actually been taught how to do perspective drawing, I don't spend a lot of time on it. There's a couple of cheats. And then if something is drawn on an angle, again, we'll go with the box. Where the corner is the closest to you, then there would be two vanishing points. And so that goes off there, that goes off towards there. And then this goes off towards that vanishing point, and this goes off towards that vanishing point. And that's a little more challenging to do. And obviously it's better if you use a ruler, because these aren't very accurately going into those directions. But since this is what I'm asking you to do on this, is come up with quick ideas and do rough sketches, then that's completely appropriate. So You know, even with the amount of time that I spent stopping to talk, you can see I can rough this in, and then I could even come up and say, oh, this is coming up into a pyramid shape on the top. That perspective isn't very clear. So maybe, oh wow, yeah, that really looks like, I can't tell if that's a pyramid on the top or if it's that. So let me try drawing it from another angle. From the side view, it'd look like this, with a line across there, and then that, to show that it's a pyramid. From the top, it would look like this. And I've only spent just, you know, over 5 minutes. Doing this, and you could shade to show, you know, you could shade these sides differently to show that that's, you know, not going in, but I mean that still looks like it could be inside the box. So you do a little bit of shading on here, make this light source coming from over here, so you shade that a little bit closer to it, and that gives some indication. But you can also just say pyramid, and that's fine. It's just a place to keep your ideas and be able to communicate your ideas to me for approval for projects, and so that you can get the help. So one larger drawing like this, several small drawings like this, 3 to 5 minutes, and you know, don't be afraid to make sure you're drawing lightly, so that if when you're drawing you go clear out and, oh wow, that's really not symmetrical, you can just kind of go in here, and when you get it to the right spot, go ahead and darken it in a little bit. This isn't an amazing drawing style. These are sketchy. We're sketching. You're not trying to make fine art. You're trying to get your ideas out on paper and see if you can work out some of the problems that are going to come up with the idea in your head before you've started working with the clay. So it tends to speed up the process and allow me to understand what it is that you're trying to do.